didn't define the one that you could create. Today on Flying Upstream, my guest shares how he went from the south side of Chicago and a childhood inside a religious cult to serving two combat tours in Iraq to directing some of the world's biggest live television events, including the French Open, Wimbledon, the World Series, and even the Super Bowl. His story is one of survival, resilience, and proving that no matter where you start, you have the power to rewrite your own future. Logan grew up poor in the south side of Chicago, raised by a single mother and in a religious cult that left him battling suicidal thoughts by the time he was 18. Instead of ending his life, he chose to run by joining the Air Force and serving two combat tours in Iraq. After navigating divorce and crippling anxiety, he pursued his dream of directing live television events, a dream that became reality as he went on to produce broadcasts for some of the biggest things on TV. Today, he uses his story and his knowledge of neuroscience and motivation to help others destroy limiting beliefs and achieve their goals. Logan, welcome to Flying Upstream.
Thank you so much for having me. Excited to be here.
I am so excited to have you here because you are the representation of where you start does not dictate where you end. Talk to me a little bit about growing up in a religious cult. What was that like?
Oh my goodness. Um, so a lot of people ask me so many questions about it, and it's not like a Waco, Texas, where there's barbed wire and there's a compound and things of that nature. It wasn't really like that for me. It was more of an experience of they really tried to control our mindset and how we believed and how we navigated and interacted with the world. For example, as a child, I wasn't allowed to watch cartoons. I wasn't allowed to have caffeine or chocolate, or, our family didn't celebrate any holidays. Um, and we also didn't, um, goodness, there's just so many layers to it in terms of the mentality that they try to instill in us. But as a child, I wasn't able to play sports, so it inhibited me from like playing. A lot of times at recess with the other kids, and growing up in Chicago in the '90s in the peak Jordan era. I mean, what kid wasn't like all about that?
Yeah, seriously. I mean, I can speak to that, and I don't know anything about sports, but I know that we were all on that playground. And when those new Jordans came out,
Right,
we all wanted to walk around and floss them, and the boys wanted to shoot hoops with them and show off what they could do. So
right, right.
I totally get that. So by the time you were 18, you'd encountered a lot. And when we are controlled, when our mindset is controlled to the extent like it sounds like yours was, there's a lot of mental health issues that a young person navigating all of this, maybe even on their own, can kind of have a hard time coping with. What shifted for you when you decided to, instead of giving into those suicidal thoughts that you were having, to instead join the military?
It's a great question, and I was so young at the time. It really, some of the memories are kind of fuzzy, but I do know the path that I was going down wasn't sustainable for me. I
Mhm.
knew that if I continued in that organization, if I continued down that path, while it might be right for some people, it wasn't right for me. And the only thing that I could think to do was to kind of run away. And so, um, God bless my mom. She was an amazing woman. Uh, she was a beautiful soul. She was a model, but she also struggled with mental illness. And she wanted almost neurotically for her little boy to not fall into the cycle with other family members, with our, various people in the community, etc. And so I remember times of we would drive down certain streets in Chicago, and as a little boy, she would make me kneel down in the back seat of the car and read books or play games so I couldn't see you know, the wine heads and the streetwalkers. And like she was determined that her little boy was going to end up differently. And I admire it, I respect it. But on one hand, I was 17, 18 years old, still with an 8:30 bedtime. Like I never got to
Mm.
experience a little responsibility and to see how I do with responsibility, as most children do. And so I wanted to get away, from kind of from her, from the religion, from just kind of all this oppression. And the only way I thought that could help me enable that escape, that could be a strong enough mechanism, wasn't college, but it was actually the military. And to kind of tie it all in, um, as a child, I our home was kind of in the flight path of Midway Airport. And so I used to lay in the backyard on the grass and look up at the planes as they flew in. And I was like, man, they got to be going some really cool places, doing some really cool things. Like man, one day I want to be like them. And so it inspired me to want to be a pilot. And the way I thought to do that was I didn't want to burden my mother with flight school and those types of obligations. So I was like, okay, if I join the Air Force, then they'll teach me how to fly, they'll pay for it, and I can accomplish my dream and get the heck out of Dodge. So
That's amazing. And it's amazing what, like what the people, especially parents, will try to shield us from, and sort of the new patterns that creates, and whether positive or negative patterns, right? Because they're shielding us from, most of the time in my experience and from most guests that I've learned, from what hurt them. They don't want us to experience the hurt that they experienced, especially in the way that they experienced it. So, as a single mother myself, as you're saying that, I can like picture myself doing the same thing for my own children in the past. And it's such a beautiful thing, because what it did is it allowed you, in a way, to sort of live in a completely different world that didn't allow you to see all of the things, whatever they were, that she was, protecting you from being able to see. And I'm sure that in some way that shaped you as well. Um, and you mentioned, though, the people that you did have in your life. I know when we talked before, there was a mention of a doctor that played a role in your life. So, aside from your mother, is there a doctor that played some significant role in your life?
um, I've had a few therapists and mentors and people that have, the universe, God, life has just kind of strategically placed in my life that have really been pivotal and changed the course or the trajectory of my life. I mean, therapy has, there have been a lot of really momentous moments in my life, but going to therapy, particularly even within the first month that I came back from Iraq, it really changed the course of how I could live with PTSD versus addressing it and leaning into it head on, talking about some of the difficult experiences and being a better person because of it.
That's beautiful. I love that you share that message, because there's an idea that I think in the collective and personally, that I could deal with it. Like I can deal with it. And because I can deal with it, I like, there's nothing that I don't need therapy. I don't need to go do something about it. But the difference in the quality of life of someone who just deals with it versus addressing it and going to therapy, working through it, and sort of learning not just the skills, but also like the kind of life that you can have when you live outside of the realm of that, is so beautiful. So I appreciate you sharing the message from that perspective too. At what point after you came back from serving in the military, in the Air Force, and sort of going to therapy and all that, at what point did you sort of realize, like, I want to do live broadcasting?
It's a another great question. I've always, as a child, kind of admired like watching television and knowing somewhere in the world this is happening like moments ago. Just thinking like, how cool is the technology? I've always been a little bit of a nerd in that way. And so it's kind of lingered in the back of my head. And while I wasn't able to be a pilot in the Air Force, I still kind of held on to like, this would be pretty cool. And when I came back from Iraq, after having so many really viscerally traumatic experiences of seeing, my brothers and sisters just traumatized and some of them lose their life, and we got attacked 8 to 9 times a day with small arms fire, with mortars, with, I mean, feeling your mortality every single day. I mean, it changes you. And so as a result of those changes, I realized I was living in my comfort zone, and that if I were to make it out of that, Joint Base Balad, which was the location that I was at, if I were to make it out, I needed to take advantage of every moment and make sure that I was really living and enjoying life and not just playing it safe. And so it took me some time to get there. I knew that in the back of my head, but I didn't have the power or the strength to act on it just yet. And so I had to hit rock bottom a few more times. I had to drag through the mud a few more times, through divorce and other bouts of depression, anxiety, suicidal ideations, before I realized that, okay, now is the moment. I need to trust in myself, bet on myself. And, we're so quick to be kind and give to other people and trust other people. And, no, you take a second chance, like go for it, believe in yourself. But we don't do it so much for ourselves. It took me maybe 4 or 5 more years after coming back from Iraq to decide to, you know what? And actually, I should definitely get into this part of the story. I was in that phase of, I was in Belgium at the time, and I turned to alcoholism. I wasn't sleeping. I was suicidal. I was depressed. I was anxious. And I remember viscerally one morning walking to work at 3 o'clock in the morning, drunk as a skunk, ready to take my life. And as I sobered up on that walk to work, I realized that if my daughter, who was 8 at the time, was to know that I killed myself, she would think that that is always an option. She would always have that narrative in the back of her head
Ooh,
that my dad killed himself, and that, you know what? If life gets hard, and that stuck with me. And I said, I am not going to do that. Instead, I'm going to be an example to her of what to do, how to push your limits, how to not see a path forward, take a bet on yourself, and go all in on your dreams. And that's what I did.
that is beautiful. The power that our children have, it's indescribable. And we can try it, like you just, I mean, that was very powerful. But it's amazing, the power that they have because we want to be better for them, which ultimately always leads to, even if it takes us a while to get there, us being better for ourselves first. And I love that, not that you had the experience, but that experience put that into perspective, that it took that moment and you like saw it. You saw the meaning beyond what that one act would mean. And that is life changing. Now, some of the work that you do today, I mean, besides like the live broadcasting, but some of the work that you do with, helping people walk through and really understand that we hold the power within to create the lives that we want. What does that look like? What do you walk someone through? Do you do coaching? What is that for you?
Absolutely. So I am a transformational, inspirational speaker. I also do one-on-one coaching and group coaching, particularly for those that are kind of stuck in life and feeling like they're living in the comfort zone of, whatever maybe expectations that their parents had or the society expectations. What does, a real man do? Or what does, a minority do? Or what does a woman do? Like these types of things that really force us in our box. I help people understand the identity that society and our parents and the programming uh, that we have kind of allowed ourselves to believe, and understand how though that programming, while many our parents always have the best interests for us at heart, but sometimes things stick that they don't really intend to, and through no malicious intent or fault of their own. But we hold on to things like, oh, I must be, selfless, and I can't really pursue my dreams because I have to do what's right for them, or do what's right for, what does a black guy do? You know what I mean? Those types of limiting beliefs. I help break those bonds and realize your unlimited, infinite potential if you choose to see it. And one of the things that I love to do is I take military strategy. Air Force missions are widely regarded as highly successful. Our success rate is 90 to 95% on any given mission. I use the strategies that the military uses to achieve almost guaranteed success, and I apply that to individual personal, transformational career guidance, as well as neuroscience based research. So I combine, in my opinion, the best of the two worlds of super highly effective, highly efficiency, and how the brain works, like science, fuse them together to help people accomplish more in the next 90 days than they have in the past 3 years.
I love that. I love that.
I love helping people. Like I feel I wake up each morning feeling on fire to just help touch lives and help people see that their potential isn't in their old identity, or isn't in their old, the trauma that we've grew up with. Like, oh, you were born in a cult, you're broken, you're this, you're that, you have PTSD, you're this, that. No, it doesn't have to be your future. Where you start is not where you end.
I love that. And it's so true. And you're a living embodiment of that in so many ways. In so many ways. I mean, we can talk about it from the racial aspect, from the being a man aspect. I mean, from just, from being a divorced man, from being a father, like so many different ways that you have just crossed to the other side and shown what is possible. So, for anyone listening or watching, we're going to put all of Logan's links in the show notes and in the description so you can reach out and work with him. I know that transformation, when you're sitting on the other side of it, when you're in that dark spot, when you're stuck, it may really seem impossible. But I think sitting here are two people who are living proof that it is what you make of it. You do get to decide. And there are people like us who are here to hold your hand, or, to have this podcast in your ear, to hold your hand in one way or another to help get you to the other side. The mission is collective. The mission is to help us all get to the other side, because we can. And by the other side, I mean wherever that means that you want to go. So, thank you so much. I have a couple more questions for
Please.
you. And I just got so excited there. So give me a second while I reorient myself.
No worries. There's a lot to unpack for sure.
Yes, yes. So I guess as we get ready to wrap up and everything that you've shared today, if there was someone who was listening right now and they felt like they just don't know where to go, maybe they have grown up with a single mother, and that tells them, you don't have the resources to get out of here. You don't have the resources to go anywhere. Or whether they've grown up in a religious environment that tells them that they're supposed to live life this exact way. And if you don't follow these rules, then you don't please your family or whoever it may be. Or someone who is on the brink of divorce and feels like this is the end of their lives. What do you say to someone to bring them back to the point where they can at least go inward and start thinking or realizing that there's more?
Absolutely. It's for me, I think it's such a beautiful place to know that you are not where you want to be, because so many people are kind of stuck in the grind and the hustle and bustle, and they're like, you know what, I can't see any other way. It's just, this is how it's got to be. If you have an inkling that you want to be different, that you need more in your life, that is the perfect starting point. I recommend for any of those scenarios, I don't care if it's a night, I don't care if it's a weekend, but take time for yourself. Take time, go on a little road trip, go be by yourself. Turn off the TV, turn off your phone, Instagram. I know we're live on social media, but turn it off and go spend some time by yourself. Take time to write down what you love, what challenges you, what inspires you, what motivates you. You have to do this by yourself and look within, because sometimes in your normal environment, you get caught up in the normal routine. You need to take yourself out. While you're doing that, and I recommend as much as you can, go for more than a day. And I know, we all have budgets and things of that nature, but spend time by yourself with your thoughts for more than a day and jot some notes. And what you will find is sometimes we suppress things that we love, that gives us joy and happiness and fulfillment in our own lives, in lieu of, oh, we got to do the 9 to 5 thing. Oh, I got to be the perfect parent. I don't have any time for myself. Yes, you always have time for a morning, meditation. You always have time for some breathing. That's another thing that I highly recommend for people. People underestimate the power of calming your parasympathetic nervous system, your fight or flight, by breathing. Deep breaths, box breathing, which for those that don't know, it's breathing in for a 4 count, holding it for a 4 count, and exhaling it for a 4 count or longer if you can. Now, granted, I don't want to get in trouble with any, doctors or attorneys or anything like that. If you can't do it, don't do it. However, deep breathing, holding it, feeling that pressure inside your body, and visualizing positive, good energy coming in, negative energy leaving, and taking that time while you're finding out about yourself, what you want, where the type of person that you want to be as you navigate in the next chapter of your life. Write these things down. It will change your life. This will be your blueprint to the new version of you. This will be the blueprint of you becoming whatever it is you want. If it's a new career, you can find anything on a GPT or or YouTube, but you're going to need accountability partner, because a lot of times when you get back to normal reality, things fall by the wayside, and that's where community is. If they really love you, they will support you, and they will hold you accountable, and they will call you on your BS when you're given BS. But those are the couple things that I would suggest to get started on your journey. But I'm so excited for you. Don't hesitate. Do it today. I'm envious.
I love it. I love it. And it's so beautiful. Thank you so much for that message. Thank you for the work that you do. Thank you for being here today. I really appreciate that.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited. I'm
Of
excited. I mean, anytime I get to share, it's the best day. That's why I'm here on Earth.
Yes, I love that. And I can feel that. I can feel that passion. So thank you so much. Your story really is proof that no matter how difficult our starting point is, we always have the power to create something new. Thank you for your openness, for your resilience, and the reminder that the future is ours to shape. And for you, listener, if this conversation inspired something in you, if maybe it's asking you to look at your own life in a different way, don't forget to keep exploring with flyingupstreampodcast.com. You'll find more stories, episodes, resources, and ways to connect with a community that's committed to rising above the current and choosing their own path. Until next time.